This is Service to Humanity, and you are welcome to another episode of the program specially put together to update you on the activities of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. My name is Habiba Zakzak, your anchor. On this episode of the program, we shall be reviewing some major events in the ministry in the year 2022, especially as it concerns the National Social Investment Program. What efforts has the ministry made to improve on the coverage and impact of the programs? Join me after the break for more details on the program.
I tell you, anytime we're not producing, the fish farmers suffer. The people we engage suffer. The people we feed, that we give our fish heads to, they feel it. I'll only beg the government to continue with this and make it run more.
We used to have children crying, parents will be chasing them to come to school, and they'll be at the gate, they'll be crying, they will hold on to the plate, they will not want to come into the gate.
When they are not giving the food, the attendance was very low.
Now the children are always fit and healthy because of the food they eat.
To make them attend class every day.
I eat rice, meat and carrots.
I want to use this opportunity to thank the federal government for the feeding program.
Thanks for staying tuned. The program begins with the Management Diary, where we bring you news on recent happenings in the humanitarian ministry as well as from her agencies. On the news, humanitarian ministry to mainstream victims of terrorism in all NSIP, just as NEDC empowers 150 youths to bridge Nigeria's 8 million metering gap. We'll be back shortly.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development says it intends to mainstream victims of terrorism into all national social investment programs as part of efforts to strengthen the resilience of victims as well as provide lasting solutions to their problems. Humanitarian Affairs Minister Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk disclosed this at the Sensitization of Victims of Terrorism program held in Katsina State. The minister, who was represented by the CSO Special Duties Funke Olatunji, said, "It is a reality that insecurity in Nigeria has remained a barrier to the provision of basic services." She also pointed out that both the impacted population and the host towns need immediate support as well as other essential human assistance. The minister added that the ministry, which has a purpose to support vulnerable groups in Nigeria, has started an outreach program with the aim of surveying the population of terror victims. This is in realization of the immense obstacles encountered by victims of terrorism nationwide in getting the needed support and human assistance. Farouk appreciated state and other relevant stakeholders for their efforts so far in providing succor to the victims of terrorism in Katsina State, adding that the ministry will continue to collaborate with all stakeholders in providing non-kinetic approach to fighting terrorism in the country. The Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, in partnership with MOMAS, has empowered 150 youth in the Northeast in its drive to breach the nation's metering gap, currently put at about 8 million. The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, NEDC, Muhammad Al-Kali, at the graduation ceremony of the NEDC beneficiaries from MOMAS Electricity Meters Manufacturing Company, MEMCO, stated that as part of its youth empowerment program, NEDC hired MOMAS Metering School, MMS, to train the youth on the theory, practical skills and regulations of energy meter installations and electrical building installations. Represented by the Deputy General Manager, Education, NEDC, Fatima Choroma, Al-Ghali noted that the training is specifically intended to produce certified installers and technicians for electricity meter installations to meet the demand of Meter Asset Provider, MAP, and National Mass Metering Program, MMMP, as authorized by the federal government. The World Bank estimates that Nigeria loses an average of $29 billion due to power shortage in the electricity sector, representing 6% of the nation's gross domestic product, GDP. As a result of this, Each disco loses an estimated 3 billion naira monthly to energy theft, and with 11 discos, an average of 33 billion naira is lost to theft on a monthly basis. The training is beneficial to the Northeast and is in line with the Commission's commitment to help reduce unemployment and increase skilled labor and workforce in the Northeast, as well as the Commission's mandate regarding human capacity development as a tool for eradicating poverty in the Northeast. Beyond the technical aspect of the training, the module also trains students on how to start a business and become entrepreneurs.
Welcome back. The federal government introduced the National Social Investment Program, NSIP, in 2016. It's a collection of programs aimed at guaranteeing a more equitable distribution of resources to disadvantaged populations, including children, youth, and women. From NPAR to the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, JIP, Conditional Cash Transfer, and National Homegrown School Feeding Program, the NSIP has achieved its basic purpose of establishment. Tonight, our review of major happenings in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for the year 2022 focuses on two units of the NSIP, the NPAR and National Homegrown School Feeding Program. One thing that was evident is that the ministry is leaving no stone unturned to increase the coverage and impact of these programs. Let's recap some of their events in this first segment of the program.
Since 2016, the National Social Investment Program has supported more than 4 million beneficiaries nationwide through a fair and transparent process coordinated by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and supported by the Ministry of Budget and National Planning and other notable MDAs with aligned goals. Poor and vulnerable Nigerians have been targeted to benefit from these programs in a bid to lift 100 million Nigerians above the poverty line by the year 2030, which is one out of many missions of the President Buhari administration.
For our partners in the ministry who are leaving no stone unturned to ensure that we succeed, thank you very much for pushing us up to this level.
The annual stakeholders review meeting marked the beginning of 2022. The purpose of the annual strategic review meeting is to give the ministry and NSIP leadership, strategic implementation partners represented by the state focal persons and other important stakeholders, a chance to assess the full range of activities surrounding the successful implementation of all clusters of the NSIP nationally. The goal is to use the priceless lessons learned to inform future implementation. The Rapid Response Register, Conditional Cash Transfer, NPower, JEEP, Homegrown School Feeding, Monitoring and Evaluation, ICT and Data Management, and the Alternate School Program were just a few of the components that were featured in paper presentations by the various team leaders and group heads. While sharing success stories, focal persons also took time to discuss the difficulties associated with implementation. While recognizing that the NSIP has had a commendable impact on people's lives, they also proposed answers to persistent problems.
There is an improvement. The National Social Register has evolved. It has now increased. The poor and vulnerable households that have been identified, more have been brought into the payment role. And if you take the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, more pupils have now been brought onto the program.
The implementation of National Social Investment Program, which started in 2016 in Plateau State, has been very, very rewarding. And we have recorded a lot of successes in all the four components of the social investment program. For the NPower, some of them are financially stable, they are self-sufficient, they've employed others, they've invested, they have a registered business. For the cooks, they've started small-scale businesses, buying and selling, trading, rearing. And for the Jeep, those who collected the interest-free loan have also repaid back.
Honestly, the social investment program is well implemented in Niger State because we have actually impacted on the lives of the poor and the vulnerable in Niger State. For example, the homegrown school feeding, we have been able to create about 15,000 jobs. The conditional cash transfer, we have about over 81,000 beneficiaries.
Following the conference, the N-Power programs, especially the N-Skills and N-Build components, have seen a significant boost in the momentum of activities and initiatives under the Social Investment Plan.
Because the N-Power targets young people, recognizing that unemployment amongst young people, whether you are a graduate of a tertiary institution or a graduate of secondary school education or an uneducated, there are problems.
Just after teaching, what next? After NAGRO, what next? After this, what next? So we are looking at other people that didn't go to school at all.
To kickstart activities under the N-Skills, the Ministry in January 2022 organized a 2-day master training for the lead trainers for life skills, foundational skills, and entrepreneurship training. These trainers have the responsibility of going back to their various states to train others under this component. Lead trainers who participated in the training were from 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Training of beneficiaries under the N-Skills commenced across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, with 11,333 Nigerian youths benefiting. The beneficiaries were trained on phone repair, which is the main program, entrepreneurship and life skills, carpentry and joinery, electrical installation, masonry and tiling, plumbing and pipe fitting, auto mechanics, tailoring, vulcanizing, among others. Under the N-Knowledge, training of beneficiaries took place across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country as well. A total of 10,666 Nigerian youths benefited from the program. They were trained on animation, script writing, hardware and software development, and repairs.
The program is still service to humanity. In the last segment, we reviewed some major initiatives of the Humanitarian Ministry in the N-Power cluster of the NSIP. Our review now continues with a focus on the National Homegrown School Feeding Program. Do please stay tuned.
The National Homegrown School Feeding Program, an initiative of the Buhari administration under the National Social Investment Programs, is a multi-sectoral program that involves the Ministries of Education, Health, Justice, Agriculture and Budget and National Planning in collaboration with interested state governments, school board management committees, community leaders, women groups and parents. In 2022, the program recorded wider coverage of schools.
The school feeding program, wonderful initiative to look at the future, to ensure that the children of the poor are mainstreamed, to have education, good education, because of the meals. They will eat, they are strong, they are healthy, and while at it, the teachers and the instructors will do their best. Again, for that program, we are between 10 to 12 million children that are being fed nationwide.
For the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, the year 2022 began with a 2-day national consultative meeting on public food procurement in the context of Nigeria's National Homegrown School Feeding Program. The event was organized by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in collaboration with Resolve to Save Lives, RTSL.
This particular consultative meeting on public food procurement and many other issues that you will discuss is just to add value to what you know already. And I hope if we continue at this pace, we will quietly put NSIP as the major legacy of Mr. President.
At the event, Binder revealed the increment of costs for a meal per child under the National Homegrown School Feeding Program by the federal government from 70 to 100 naira. Dr. Emmanuel Agogo, the country representative Resolve to Save Lives, RTSL, revealed that the Homegrown School Feeding Program is aimed at making sure that all children in Nigeria are able to meet their full growth potential.
We are here to do is looking at guidelines that have been developed globally. I think that's one of the drivers to globally to improve nutrition, healthy nutrition. One, our focuses are around reducing trans fat, which is a fat that is unhealthy. Our focus is around salt reduction to make sure that the food that people consume have low salt value. Our focus is also ensuring that people who have high blood pressure are well treated. And we know that food is medicine. Is that right? Food is medicine. And so when we begin to look at our children and look at what this program can deliver, it means that every child that is being fed every day is being given not just food, but medicine for them to grow, but also being given the necessary nutrients for their brains to develop, for them to maximize who they are.
Another significant event was a capacity building workshop for program managers and program officers of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program. National team leader of the school feeding program, Aisha Tudugil, gave a statement on the objectives of the workshop. Various topics were treated at the workshop. They include project management and supply chain management. Some of the participants revealed efforts they have made on the supply chain in their states with regards to the Homegrown School Feeding Program.
The aggregators, they supply, they deliver to the cooks at the designated centers of which we monitor. So we allow the cooks to procure the other food items like rice, beans, yam, plantain, etc. So the advantage of using the aggregators for the protein items is that we are able to get the quality and quantity, because the aggregator delivers to the cooks as per the number of pupils allocated assigned to them per school.
That's why we did aggregation, was the fact that we were looking for quality of the protein, because larger percentage of the nutritional value that we wanted to pass to the pupils lie in those proteins: fish, meat, and egg. We discovered that the first payment we had, we wanted to make it a free market thing. Our feedback was that people didn't buy meat. In fact, they used the meat, leftover meat, in their own households. So we discovered that very critical aspect of the meal needed to be protected. That's why we brought in aggregators.
We're now going to be discussing about the dashboard design.
To further solidify the school feeding program, a dashboard was designed. The dashboard presents data from the National Homegrown School Feeding Database to give a simple and comprehensive insight into critical values and trends. A one-day training was also organized for staff of the ministry and independent monitors from all states of the Federation who attended physically as well as virtually. According to designers of the dashboard, its benefits include total visibility into the program, big time savings, seamless reporting, a collaborative working space, and easy consolidation.
At this modern age, the best way to monitor whatever you're doing is to adopt technology into that. So this dashboard is all about the use of geospatial technology in monitoring and evaluating the program we're doing under the homegrown school feeding. This dashboard is giving you first-hand information about the program itself. For example, the homegrown school feeding. If you have a secondary school where we have the feeding taking place, just by clicking on the dashboard, on the location of the school, the point location of the school, you have all the information, starting from the cooks, the number of people, and the way that the feeding is taking place in that at a particular point of time, in time or not.
High point of this year so far as the school feeding program is concerned, was the celebration of the 7th Africa Day for School Feeding, an annual event organized by the African Union, which is co-convened with World Food Programme WFP and the support of other partners including Global Partnership for Education GPE, Islamic Development Bank IDB, and the Education Commission. In commemoration of the day, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development organized a 2-day event on Tuesday, 1st March and Wednesday, 2nd March 2022 in Abuja.
I wish also use this opportunity to commend AUDA NEPAD for the development and successful launch of the AUDA NEPAD guidelines for designing and implementing school feeding program in Africa. The guidelines accurately outline good practices that are socio-culturally relevant with a corresponding substantial value addition for the program.
Now we know that 2/3 of Africa's population is in rural areas. We want to ensure that the women that are in rural communities also benefit from school feeding. For example, in Nigeria, I know that women are cooks. That is also empowerment for our women. They provide the food to our children. That itself is women empowerment that we want to promote.
The event here is literally honoring Nigeria and recognizing the effectiveness of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program in this country, recognizing Mr. President's effort to ensure that his well-focused and strategized poverty eradication is on track, and also by the presence of the NEPAD team from the whole continent, many of the non-governmental organizations supporting this event, so many stakeholders here. Is a demonstration that we are on the right track and we're doing the right things. Currently, with a feeding rate of nearly 10 million children being fed, and with the current approval of Mr. President to add another 5 million on top of that, this is the most ambitious program of such in this continent.
The second day of the event featured awareness road walk along Alex Ekweme Road, Jabi, Abuja to LEA Primary School, Jabi, Abuja, where a celebration for the 7th Africa Day for School Feeding was marked with the pupils of the school. There was an anniversary cake, just as pupils of the school received gifts in commemoration of the day. No doubt, the school feeding program is doing well in terms of the impact on the lives of the children. Little wonder then that the United Nations World Food Programme has continued to deepen its partnership with Nigeria in improving school feeding in Nigeria.
And that's our package on this episode of Service to Humanity. Join me again same time next week and same station for more on the strides of the ministry and her agencies in reaching the nation's most vulnerable with the initiatives of the federal government to better their lives. My name is Habiba Zakzak, saying good night and God bless.